In 1997, the world fell in love with Jack Dawson, a penniless artist who became the cinematic face of the Titanic's tragedy. For decades, real Titanic victims lay in Fairview Lawn Cemetery in Halifax, including one man whose simple headstone bears a familiar name, J. Dawson. Following the film's release, this quiet gravesite became a pilgrimage site for fans. People began leaving flowers, cinema stubs, and handwritten letters to a character who never actually lived. This focus on a screen legend obscured the history of the man actually buried in grave 227, a real Dubliner whose life was far removed from the Hollywood script. When historians began digging into the Titanic's passenger manifests, the name Jack Dawson was nowhere to be found among the first or third-class lists. The name finally appears on the ship's crew agreements, Dawson J. This J stood for Joseph. He was a 23-year-old trimmer, a manual laborer working in the heat of the ship's engine department. The historical record replaces the romanticized vagabond with a verified crew member who worked for a daily wage. Joseph was born in 1888 in the slums of North Dublin. His early life was marked by housing instability and the loss of his mother to cancer when he was 21. Seeking a way out of poverty, he enlisted in the British Army Medical Corps, eventually serving at a military hospital near the busy shipping lanes of the English coast. Joseph eventually moved to Southampton to look for work on the great liners. He took a job on the Titanic to earn enough to marry his sweetheart, Nellie Priest. While the fictional Jack boarded the ship on a lucky hand of cards, Joseph's ticket was earned through the necessity of a paycheck. Joseph signed on as a ship's trimmer. In the hierarchy of the ship, this was the absolute bottom, the dirtiest and most exhausting job in the engineering department. This diagram shows coal bunkers surrounding Boiler Room 4. Here, trimmers leveled coal piles to keep the ship balanced. Working in pitch-black steel enclosures, they breathed air thick with coal dust, using only wet rags for protection as the ship rolled around them. These soot-stained men fed the furnaces that powered the luxury occurring several decks above them. The Titanic's record-breaking speed was built on the labor of an invisible workforce operating deep below the waterline. Joseph was asleep when the ship hit the iceberg. He awoke to alarms and ice-cold water flooding the lower decks where the crew lived. While the lifeboats were being filled, many of the engineering crew remained in the boiler rooms, keeping the lights and pumps running until the final minutes. Before reaching the deck, Joseph retrieved his National Sailors and Firemen's Union card, number 35638, from his belongings. Having that document on his person allowed him to be identified when his body was recovered days later. It ensured his name would be recorded rather than lost to an anonymous grave. Joseph's body was labeled number 227 by the recovery crew. The presence of the Union card allowed historians to formally link the remains to the J. Dawson listed on the sign-on sheets. Director James Cameron later noted he had no idea a real Dawson was on the crew list when he wrote his script. It was a complete historical coincidence. A global movie blockbuster accidentally saved a real, marginalized historical figure from total obscurity. Grave 227 stands as a testament to Joseph Dawson, one of the thousands of men who kept the world's greatest ship running from the shadows.